The world is a vast, untamed wilderness, and sometimes it swallows you whole. This is the story of how it tried to swallow me, my daughter Maya, and my old friend Ben. It's a story of survival against impossible odds. Our adventure started with so much promise. A 3-day hike into the heart of the Cascade Mountains. We were experienced. Ben was a former search and rescue guide. I'd spent my life in the outdoors, and 10-year-old Maya had more trail miles on her boots than most adults. We packed for every contingency, or so we thought. The weather forecast was clear, a perfect late summer window. The first day was idyllic. The scent of pine filled the air. The trail was a gentle ribbon of earth winding through ancient forests, and Maya's laughter echoed off the granite peaks. We made camp by a crystalline lake, the stars so bright they felt close enough to touch. Everything was perfect. The second day, the sky turned on us. It began subtly, a high, thin veil of clouds that Ben eyed with a frown. "That wasn't in the forecast," he muttered. Within an hour, the veil thickened into a leaden blanket. The temperature plummeted. Then the snow began. Not a gentle flurry, but a blinding, horizontal blizzard. We were caught completely exposed on a high ridge. Panic is a cold, creeping thing. I saw it in Maya's wide eyes. Ben's voice, however, cut through the wind. "We need to get below the tree line. Now." We abandoned our planned route and began a treacherous descent down a steep, unfamiliar slope. The snow piled up with terrifying speed, erasing the landscape, turning the world into a disorienting vortex of white. One wrong step, that's all it took. The ground beneath me gave way and I tumbled, my leg twisting at a sickening angle. A sharp, white-hot pain shot up from my ankle. I tried to stand, but the bones screamed in protest. It was broken, badly. In that moment, staring at my deformed ankle as the snow swirled around me, a chilling realization hit me. We weren't just lost. We were in a fight for our lives. Ben reached me in seconds, his face a grim mask. He didn't waste words. "Can you walk?" I shook my head, the pain making me dizzy. He ripped strips from his spare shirt, and using 2 sturdy branches, fashioned a crude splint. It was agonizing, but it stabilized my leg. Maya huddled close, her small body trembling, not just from the cold, but from fear. I pulled her into a hug, trying to project a calm I didn't feel. "We're going to be okay," I whispered, the words tasting like a lie. Night fell fast and hard. The storm raged on. Ben found a small rock outcropping that offered minimal shelter. We huddled together, sharing a single emergency blanket. The wind howled like a hungry wolf tearing at our pathetic refuge. We had a little food, but the cold was the real enemy. It leached the warmth from our bones, a relentless, numbing thief. Ben was our rock. He never stopped moving, never stopped thinking. He showed Maya how to pack snow around our shelter to insulate it, giving her a task to keep her mind off the terror. He rationed our meager supply of trail mix and energy bars with grim precision. He kept talking, telling old stories, making terrible jokes, anything to keep our spirits from freezing along with our bodies. He was a beacon in the storm. Days blurred into a nightmare of shivering and hunger. We had no idea if the storm would ever end. The small digital watch on my wrist became our only measure of time, each passing hour a small victory. We talked about home. We talked about the first thing we'd eat: hot pizza for Maya, a giant burger for Ben, a gallon of coffee for me. These small dreams were our fuel. On the third day, the hunger was a physical ache. My leg throbbed with a life of its own. But something worse was setting in: despair. I looked at Maya, her face pale and gaunt, her usual spark dimmed. The guilt was overwhelming. I had brought her here. This was my fault. I started to feel the pull of giving up, the seductive whisper of just closing my eyes and letting the cold take me. Then I saw it. Maya was quietly humming. A simple, off-key tune we'd made up on the trail. And next to her, Ben was whittling a small piece of wood with his knife, creating a tiny, detailed bird. He caught my eye and gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. They weren't giving up. How could I? I had to fight, for them. That night, Ben made a decision. "The storm's easing," he said, his voice raspy. "I'm going for help at first light. The food is almost gone." "It's our only shot," we argued. I pleaded with him not to go alone, but we all knew he was right. I couldn't travel, and leaving Maya was unthinkable. He was our only hope. At dawn, under a bruised purple sky, the snow finally stopped. Ben gave Maya a tight hug. "You be brave for your dad," he said. He looked at me, a deep understanding passing between us. "I'll be back," he promised. And then he was gone, a solitary figure disappearing into the vast, silent, white expanse. Waiting was the hardest part. The silence was deafening after the constant roar of the storm. Every snap of a twig, every gust of wind sounded like his return, or like something far more sinister. Maya and I clung to each other, our world shrunk to that tiny rock shelter. We had one energy bar left. We split it, savoring each tiny, crumbly bite. Another day passed. And then another night. The hope that had flickered within me began to die. Ben was gone. He was gone and we were next. I held Maya, preparing myself for the end, trying to find the words to comfort her, but none came. And then we heard it. Faint, at first. A rhythmic thump thump thump. It grew louder, a mechanical heartbeat in the silent wilderness. I scrambled, dragging my broken leg, pulling myself out of the shelter. I looked up. And there it was, a helicopter, circling low. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. I waved my arms, screaming until my throat was raw. Maya was beside me, jumping and waving. The helicopter saw us. It hovered, and a figure was lowered on a winch. As the rescuer landed, another figure appeared at the edge of the trees. It was Ben, exhausted, frostbitten, but standing. He had made it. He had walked for nearly 2 days, navigating by memory and instinct, until he stumbled onto a logging road and flagged down a truck. He had kept his promise. The flight back to civilization was a blur of warmth, blankets, and kind faces. Maya fell asleep in my arms, safe. I looked over at Ben, his eyes closed, and I knew I owed him my life, and my daughter's. We survived not just because of skill or equipment, but because we refused to let the darkness win. We survived because in the coldest, most desperate moments, we held on to each other. We learned that the human spirit, when pushed to its absolute limit, is the most powerful force on Earth, and that's a lesson you can't learn from any map. Thanks for listening to our story. If you found it inspiring, consider subscribing for more tales of survival and the human will to live.